Hey y'all, what's up? Welcome back to the Imperfect Action Show, episode 63. Amazing. You already know what we do on the show. We talk to six, seven, eight-figure earners. We talk to people that are making moves, people that you can learn from, people that can help you take imperfect action in marketing and in business. And I got the sidepreneur nurse going on over here. Dr. Kiana Jones, what's up? How are you doing?
Hey. Well, thank you so much. I am doing well. I'm glad to be here, excited to share my journey and drop some
Yeah,
gems.
100%. So today we're going to talk a little bit about who you are, what you do. Talk a little bit about your strategy and how you even got into what you're doing outside of your main thing. So, what I would like to do to kind of start it off, what I normally do is I take a minute to just let the community know that we're live and popping. So I'm gonna send a text
Okay.
out to them. So
Oh,
while I'm doing that, why don't you start with your story? Who are you? Who is Dr. Kiana Jones, and how'd you get here?
right. So, a interesting series of events, I will say, but I'll just start with an introduction of myself. My name is Dr. Kiana Jones, RN, and I emphasize the RN, which stands for Registered Nurse. I am owner and founder of Lux Beauty and Wellness Boutique and Lux Beauty and Wellness Academy. And I actually started on this journey about truly taking action about 5 years ago, a little bit over 5 years ago, where I just decided I was going to start to change the trajectory of my life because the road that I was on, I wasn't happy with where it would have led me 20 years down the line. And so I started to figure out and be okay with like making mistakes, be okay with taking chances, trying things out. And that gradually led me to where I am now. So I own a medical spa in the Los Angeles area. And I also coach nurses and other healthcare professionals on starting their own med spas. So it's been a series of events, but I'm so glad that I, basically took the chance and figured it out. I had no idea I would end up here. This was really not the plan. The
So when
only
you
thing,
say
go ahead.
yeah, when you say end up here, what is here for the people?
Here is like with a community of nurses, I have a tribe of nurses called Nurse Boss Mob, which is a community. It's I call it a sisterhood, a monthly sisterhood where we come together and it's aspiring, current, even seasoned nurse entrepreneurs where we come together and we, network and we pour into each other and we take trips together and just really empower each other. And then my other community, which is it's a course which is called the Med Spa Boot Camp, where I actually help nurses go from where they are to actually starting their own med spa, aka aesthetic business. So this is here. I didn't start here. I started somewhere like on the other side of town, but I ended up here only because I made the moves and took steps that just I didn't even know where the road was going to lead to, but I just continued to walk forward. So that's where I am
So
now.
the topic of today's show is taking um, imperfect action, essentially in business, and why it's necessary for you to take taking those imperfections and stuff like that and moving. So where was your mindset prior to that? Because I mean you mentioned that there was a little bit of shift for you, and then you started taking those actions. So
Yeah.
what was your mindset prior to that?
Prior to taking the action. So,
Mm-hmm.
I always, and I don't think I know, it's not that I don't think I know I didn't realize it as I was younger, but I really have always been one to take chances, right? But the more educated I became, the less I was willing to take chances. I realized, like looking back. So it had to be calculated. And then what happened was I reached a point where I was like, okay, if I don't step outside of this box, I knew what my 20-year trajectory was going to be, and I didn't like it. So I started to change who I was. And what I mean by that is like, I stopped listening to the radio. I started only listening to podcasts was not big back then at all. So I was listening to like YouTube channels. I would listen to Les Brown, Jim Rohn, Tony Robbins, E.T. the hip hop preacher. Like I just consumed them. And then what I was able to do was pull out the themes that all of them kind of said in their own way. And I started to actually implement them, like get a coach, mindset, change your network, do things that make you uncomfortable. And you start to really change and reshape your life and the path that you're on. So I started doing that. And that is what eventually led me to my first mindset coach that I invested in, which I thought was a load of money. It was $2,500. And I was like, dude, this is a
My
lot,
yo,
you know?
mine was like 2, and I was like,
Exactly. It was 2,500. And she kind of continued on me on that journey. It was great. I was shaking, I was scared, but I knew I needed it because I had some things I needed to unpack, like what did I have these blocks? But also for me, I realized that honestly, I really don't like the word perfect. I don't believe there's anything perfect. I believe it's all subjective, right?
I think you're perfect. I think you're perfect for the imperfect. For the imperfect.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't believe in perfection. And so what I tell my clients all the time is like, if you're looking for perfect, you're not going to move because there is no such thing. It's like saying I'm going to wait till I get a unicorn. It's never a right time. But if you take the action, whatever that action is that you're afraid of or that you're waiting for, you will find a way to make it successful, to make it happen, to whatever it is that you're trying to do, you will be able to do that. But you can't do it if you're looking for perfection. It just doesn't exist. It's subjective. What's perfect to me may not be perfect to you.
100%, 100%. So when you were listening to Jim Rohn, Les Brown, Tony Robbins, and you got these common themes going, what were some of the things that stuck out to you that led you to making that first investment to your own coach?
My biggest out of all of them was Les Brown, and I always talk about this on my lives as well. And he tells us he's at the Georgia Dome. Mind you, I was probably 2 when he did this Georgia Dome, but I always listened to that particular YouTube channel, that station, and he would always talk about the grave and how the grave site and the cemetery is like the richest place on earth.
Oh yeah.
And because those are all those unrealized dreams and then he tells a story about like the ghosts of all of your dreams over you when you're like on your deathbed, and they're like, why didn't it's so powerful. I've never forgotten it. And honestly, it's that one story out of all of them that affected me so much that I started to realize that my fear of regret was greater than my fear of failing or fear of what if nobody buys, all of that. It's like I keep thinking about my last day and what I want, how I want to feel, what I want people to say at my funeral. Like I want to die empty. And he always says, live full, die empty. That's me. So I'm gonna try it. If nothing else, I'm gonna try it.
I like your energy. I knew you was perfect for episode 63. I just knew it. So what is sidepreneuring?
Okay.
What is sidepreneuring about?
Yeah. First of all, I love that. Nobody's ever asked me that. So sidepreneur, I thought that I was going to always be at least part-time at the bedside because I'm a nurse. And us as nurses, one of the things that really attracts us to the profession is that feeling of caring, giving. Like we really like that. And by our within us, as far as our character, we find value in helping people. Most of us, right? I'm generalizing. So I always thought I would probably still like stay doing hospital work, even if it was only part-time, and then do other things that I enjoyed to also get my fulfillment. Of course, I'm not working at the bedside anymore or as an employee. I'm a full-time entrepreneur now, but sidepreneur kind of was birthed out of that. So I created that page to take people on the journey of all the different things I was trying, right? At the time I started that page, I was a full-time faculty at a university. I was part-time nursing supervisor at a hospital. And then I worked at the bedside 4 days. So I had 3 jobs. That's a sidepreneur. And then a mom, a wife, and et cetera, and a student. Because at the time I was in the
There's 5 jobs.
Yeah. I was in the PhD program. And so I was doing a lot. But that's what birthed sidepreneur. So it really is like, and the people I attract in my tribe, I think there's a certain amount of security that comes with entrepreneurship when you are able to make sure your bills are paid, right? Yeah. When you are able to make sure that your kids still are able to live the same lifestyle, even though you are embarking on other endeavors. So for me, I always tell people, my kids sleeping on a mattress or, eat noodles, not by choice, is not going to be the case. So I knew I was going to always work. I already did that. I had enough noodles and mattresses for us all growing up. So I wanted to make sure I was able to maintain the same lifestyle for them. And so that's pretty much what sidepreneurship is, being able to work and still doing your other endeavors on the side.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about what you're actually doing in the business, though, right? So you're helping nurses that were in similar positions that you were in, right?
Yes.
So what I want to ask you here is like, when did the light bulb go off, and when was the switch? You're like, okay, I understand what I'm doing right now. I see what the trajectory is. I may not necessarily, this may not necessarily be my path. I want to do something else. But when did the light bulb go off, and when was the switch? You was like, oh, okay, I could do this, and then the ceiling there's no ceiling.
Right. Exactly.
Like when did you put that together, and then what was that moment for you?
So basically, I'm doing good. I got my med spa. I'm posting, stuff on social, but I wasn't very social at the time. And nurses would slide in my DM like, hey, I didn't know we could even own a med spa. Or, hey, like, do you have a medical director? How are you doing this? How are you doing that? Just like a lot of questions. And so I would answer them with no problem, just because of the type of person I am. And I was successful running my med spa successfully, but COVID hit. And so I had been ruminating with the idea of creating courses and digital products. I just really didn't have time. I pretty much didn't make it a priority until I had no choice but to make it a priority. Because as you know,
it's not a priority until it's a priority.
Period. Yeah. And as you know, in Cali, we were the first state to actually do a complete shutdown. So that included all non-emergent, any surgical, any type of treatment. So that would have been me at the time. So that was the moment where I was like, okay, what the heck am I going to do? My landlord didn't care. She wanted her lease paid, still had bills. I'm like, I'm about to crank out courses. Now, mind you, I have a background. I've been faculty for 13 years. So I know how to develop curriculum. I knew all of that. And I just didn't, like I said, prioritize it. So I prioritized it then. And from there, it went from one ebook, one checklist, to courses and other ebooks and webinars and master classes. And when the money started coming in and I woke up to those Stripe emails, I'm like, so it literally, like,
what are we talking about? What was that first ding when you woke up? Because I want people to understand like what the realization was for you.
Because nurses, and by the way, let me just preface this with, I'm a nurse through and through. So I'm speaking about nurses. Not saying it's not the case with other healthcare professions, because it is, but I'm talking about nursing because I'm a nurse. So with nursing, we work 12 and a half hours. Okay. We're at the site, 12 and a half hours. 11.25 are running around. 11, I'm telling you, on your feet, up and down, sitting, going, doing, and serving, right? And so the essence of like being able to bring in money, and I worked, it's like what I tell nurses is like, you work a 12-hour shift. Like you spend that time, you create that course, you do all that, and then you're going to get paid forever on it, potentially, as long as it's relevant.
Yeah,
it's a different experience, and that is what fueled my passion to introduce nurses to this life, because it's like, I just feel like we really deserve it, like so much. Just, and not to say give up, we need nurses at the bedside. People get sick, we need nurses, right? And we need doctors. But the thing about it is to not have to work so much and so hard, and physically and mentally exhaust yourself is also a benefit of having other avenues, other streams of income. So that first payment, I mean, you would have thought that it was a $49 ebook. You would have thought I just got $50,000, because it was validation and confirmation that I was on the right track. And I knew that if there was one person that would buy, then there was others. And I just had to figure out how to get in front of them. So it changed my life.
Okay, cool. That's amazing. So let's recap. You wanted more. Didn't really understand how you was gonna do it at the time.
Mm-hmm.
You stopped doing the regular stuff, the music and whatever distraction you had going on in your life. You started kind of shutting off distractions, going deeper into just being around in the essence, like the sounds, the views, things that are actually gonna help you grow and develop.
Exactly.
Then you just stumble on, hey, I got a med spa. I got this going on. COVID just shut it all the way down. I've been wanting to do courses, but
Yeah,
it's not a priority for me.
exactly.
Then you finally do some courses, and somebody buys something.
$49.
You get that first 49, and I love how you say, listen, if one person buys, then that means there's other people out there that's gonna buy also.
Right.
But okay, so your energy already speaks to me, and I can already tell, like when that 49 hit, you got that validation. You already
Right.
put more momentum, more energy, and you probably had things going on in your mind, like how can we really scale this up?
Yeah.
So what are some of the things or some of the ways that you help your current clients, these nurses, realize their potential outside of what they're currently doing?
So I have a couple things. So the boss mob is like a low ticket, nurse boss mob is like a low ticket entry. It gives them access to me and other like coaches in the industry. So let's say they may be marketing coaches. They may talk about short-term rental. We have master classes every month. So that's kind of like the low ticket entry to access me aside of my socials, right? Like Instagram or whatever. And so that was really created because I wanted something for others that I needed, which is like a sisterhood, like no competition. Feel free to share any type of value you can add. And it's not just from me, it's from us as a collective. So the mission statement for that group is really, the mission statement is we are better together, right? And so it's about the collective. It's not just about me. I just am the one who created it, but it's about all of us delivering. So that's one way. The boot camp, which is a med spa startup boot camp, that also is a community. So I have this cohort. I have 35 women.
You help someone, so you can help nurses literally start their spas.
Yes. So what I do, I created a full 11 module course. Okay. That's already done. Bam. They have to complete that course before they join the boot camp. So the boot camp is where they're with me or my coaches for 6 weeks. And that's when we're actually taking action based on the course. So the course is university level. Like it's everything that they need in the course. But on top of that, there's a accountability piece that people need, I realize. And also, having people in the community sharing their stories and what they're doing is also another piece of that. So I'm doing that as well. Those are people who are like, I want to start a med spa. I know I want to start a med spa. So they start there.
Yeah.
So honestly, to be honest, Brendan, anything that I have learned, I have an ebook course. I put a course out. Like nobody, I don't care. You cannot tell me nothing because I see that if there is something that I can help somebody with, that's what I'm motivated by. Honestly, the financial gain is just the icing on the cake.
Yeah, you just
I
gave
just
me.
want us to win.
You just gave me an idea.
I did.
And I love ideas. For real. All right, so we got a couple questions. We're talking to Dr. Kiana Jones. She, like, the essence of today's episode is taking imperfect action in your business, essentially, and why it's necessary to make these imperfections so you can move forward, right? Why you should do these things. So got a couple questions. This one's coming from Ty. Ty's asking, how should we start to create a course?
So this is what I recommend. So, okay, I'm learning something from my coach now, with our coach. But for people who get stuck on the doing it, I always say start with an ebook. Start with an ebook because you can literally, and this is exactly what I did. I started with that ebook. I use that ebook as an outline for my masterclass. I use that masterclass as the outline for my course. So it literally filtered into the next. But you have to already have this is the plan. Like you're not just going to sit on that as soon as you start getting sales and like, all right, well, I'm making passive income. But you can make a lot more. Like my ebook is only $49. And I know that people are purchasing my ebook because they want to kind of get a sense of if I'm delivering, right?
Yeah.
And so from there, they usually go to my masterclass. That's a little bit more. And then from there, they invest in my course. So it's kind of like your interview with them. So starting there is an easy start. You don't have to write it. Go to rev.com and get it transcribed. Like you don't have to do all that. And just literally the only thing I tell people to do in my ebook course is just write your categories like
Yep.
to lead them to that transformation. You know what the transformation is? What steps do they need to take, and put it in chronological order? Get on your recorder on your phone, just once a day, talk about each section. Just diary of the mouth, everything you can think of. Go on rev.com, have them transcribe it. Go on Fiverr, have an editor edit it. Go on Fiverr and get a graphic designer to create it. Put it on PayHip and make some money.
And I was speaking to some of my clients yesterday because which is amazing, but that ebook, like Dr. Kiana said, you could turn it into your course, but there's so many other things you could turn it into, right? You could keep
So many
live webinar, automated
podcasts.
webinar. It could be a podcast. You could do. You could have a virtual reading that they can sign up to. There's so many different things. Audiobook, which you mentioned. It's just literally the same IP could be like 7 different things.
Yep.
And that's like your first book. Well, you drop another one again. Seven different things. Crazy. Yep. So we got another question. This one coming from Chandra. She's asking about your group. So is the group on Facebook?
So no, which the Med Spa Nurse Boss Mom, if that's what she's referring to, it's hosted on Kajabi. So it starts with a course. The course is called Bedside Nurse to Boss Nurse. And so I really take bedside nurses from where they are, or even those who are kind of new into entrepreneurship, and just guide you to make sure you have like everything you need to get to like the boss nurse. But believe it or not, it's tactical, but it's heavy in the mindset. Like you being a boss does not start when you own your business. Like I've always been a boss because I've always showed up as such, right? I'm a problem solver. I get along well with people. I know how to focus on the issues, right? So I'm likable. So your boss, I call it bossdom. Your bossdom does not start once you become an actual business owner. It starts long before that. So the bedside nurse to boss nurse is basically a course that takes you through that. And then you get access, as soon as you sign up, you get access to the Facebook group as well. But yeah, it's actual based on a course first. And then, we do everything else. Our meetups, all that is we have the online meetups, and then we have the in-person. We just came back from DR in March.
Wait, when's the next one?
I know, right?
I'm trying to go. Do I have to be a nurse to attend? Do I need to be a nurse to come? Because I'm gonna get a white coat. Too. I'm gonna get a white coat then. So really, the undertone of today's episode, if you guys are paying attention, like the ones that are on live and if you're watching playback, is really mindset, right? So the trajectory in the direction to the bossdom, which I think is an excellent word, is really your journey to your mindset, right? Like really your mindset, because bossdom starts right now. Like you could decide, right? You know what? That new Kendrick came out. I ain't gonna listen to it because I'm gonna start listening to Dr. Kianas said there's some ET dude, or there's this Jim Rome guy. I need to look him up. Or Tony Robbins. I've been hearing the name, but I haven't really been paying attention. You know what? I'm gonna go to the supermarket today. I'm gonna pick one of those guys and I'm gonna listen.
Exactly.
It literally starts with you deciding to take different actions and make different decisions, literally along the course of your normal daily life. So, like the easiest way might be doing it. The easiest way for you to do it would be if you're in the gym, in the car, on a walk. Just throw something on that might be different that could inspire you to get into your inner Boston.
Yes.
I like that. So we got another question. This one coming from Keisha. What are some of the mindset shifts or healing that needs to take place for a nurse to transition from
what's her name?
To a boss? That's Keisha. So I personally text her because I'm like, yo, she needs to hear Dr. Kianas.
Yeah. Let me tell you, Keisha, there's a lot of healing and forgiveness that has to happen, and really tapping into the bigger purpose. And everything we have been through, trauma, good, bad, whatever, is what is leading us to the next level. And some of those things we actually may have had bad experiences with, but what it builds in you, right? to even identify that you need to do some healing. And when you go seek that, it's going to transform you into the person that you need to become to get to whatever your next level is. And it's not just, it's healing from the being nurses at the bedside, especially in this pandemic. And as she's a nurse, she should know we experienced some serious trauma, right? But it's also some trauma we may have experienced in our childhood that we really don't even know. That's why I always tell clients, start with mindset. Because once you transform your mind and really be able to understand why those experiences happen, you will show up as a different person and be more emboldened to do the things that whatever it is that you want to do with your life. So it really truly is important that we identify that, but that we also seek out professionals to help us kind of work through that so that we can get to that next level. So that's an amazing question. And just know that everything we've been through is making us stronger for the next step. Like, I'm gonna figure it out. Like, as a nurse, we go through so much stuff. We have the work ethic, we have all that. We just don't have enough belief in ourselves.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Yeah.
So what type of nurses what type of professionals could tap into this bossdom that you have going on over there, right? Because is it gonna all just be bedside nurses? What like who else would be the ideal person, client avatar, to tap into to doing this sidepreneurship thing?
Yeah. So this is what I tell people. Any nurse, I focus on nurses, but this literally the core principles can anybody, any profession, it doesn't matter, but I just focus on nurses. And what I always tell people is when you have a desire and you understand that by you not becoming the best version of yourself, there are people that you are leaving behind. Somebody is waiting on you to be the best version of yourself so that they can become the best version of themselves. So I tell nurses this because we really find value in being able to help others. So here's what I say. If you don't do it, that person, like if I didn't do it, those 100 and something nurses that are in my nurse boss mob wouldn't be there. Right? Yep. If I didn't do it, all the 100+ nurses I helped last year start their med spa, they wouldn't have done that. So you have to do it. You have an obligation, right? And so any nurse who wants to find more fulfillment and still get that good feeling that we get by seeing our patients being discharged, maybe we didn't think they were going to make it, by helping, consoling families, like all that we give, you can still get that in entrepreneurship as long as you're following the good feeling and not just the money.
I like that because you're right. I mean, the money is great, but the money's not always going to motivate you because the money's not tied to the passion.
Exactly.
Money's just a byproduct of the movement. It's just, it's just what's going to allow, like once you put the energy out there, I like to say, you create an opportunity for the currency to flow.
Yes. And can I just say, Brennan, I used to despise, before I was bringing in the money I despise when people say it's not about the money. It's like, well, what the heck? What is it about? Because I'm broke and you talking about it ain't about the money.
Yeah.
But really and truly, you guys, I want you to understand it is not. The money comes to me so easily now that I have, first of all, lowered the resistance that I was taught. Like, money don't grow on trees. It's hard. You got to work hard to get money. All of those things that I was taught as a child, I had to get rid of those and just be open, right? And then start following my passion. When you're helping people solve a problem and you're passionate about it, they're going to throw money at you. They want to pay you to get them out of pain.
Yep. I mean, that's a mic drop right there. That's a super mic drop. All right, guys. What other questions do you have for Dr. Kiana? I think I was really inspired just by the fact that you're saying the necessary, imperfect actions that are needed to change your situations and why people need to take those steps. Yeah. And why, obviously, if you don't take those steps, you're going to remain where you are. And maybe you're not doing those things because you're worried about it, but you're really manifesting in real life what you're worried about by not doing the actions, which I think is like a whole.
Right.
Yeah, it's crazy. So what's the end result of these nurses, right? Like, what are some of these stories that you're hearing? What are they experiencing when they come inside your community? How's their mindsets changing? Like, what's really going on?
So there's a saying in nursing, and only nurses would know this. It says nurses eat their young. Okay. You probably never heard it because you're not a nurse, but your nurses and your following, they know.
Sounds aggressive.
It is. And my community is the total antagonist to that. And so what my members love the most is the sisterhood. So I don't call it a membership. I call it a sisterhood. And it's still, guys can come in, by the way, but I do, women are my target audience. So it's a sisterhood. And it's a matter of like really, truly empowering and encouraging each other to be the better versions of ourselves. We don't often get that at the bedside, believe it or not. As much as nurses are carers and, we take care of our patients, amongst each other, there's a lot of horizontal aggressions, violence, and things like that, believe it or not. It is. Yes. Bullying. Yes.
Nurses begin at other nurses?
Yes.
Nah,
it is.
I would never think.
It's true. And so it's really the opposite of that. And so they absolutely love it because we come on and we're sharing our wins and our stories, but we're also making suggestions like, whatever challenges you have, you come to the boss mob and like, you're able to put them on the table and we're able to pour into you and, make recommendations, suggestions, network with like-minded people. You don't know this, Brendan, but one of the challenges with being a nurse is people have this misconception that as a nurse, we have money. And we don't.
That's true.
Yeah. And so we're so busy, especially new nurses. I always say, you're trying to keep up with what people tell you should be instead of you focusing on who you are and the life that you want based on your own mind, right? So we think that something's wrong with us because everybody say, oh, you're a nurse, you got money. And you're like, well, damn, I'm literally living paycheck to paycheck. And they're telling me I should be, good. So the beauty in that is like being able to like dispel those myths and talk about them and then say, okay, now what do you need to do to live the life that you want? Like, what does that look like for you? So that's another challenge. But when we are around the right community, if you're in a room with 5 millionaires and you're not one, you're damn sure going to be one within a year, So even if you are not where you want to be mentally or financially or whatever, when you get around the community, you're definitely going to level up. You have no choice.
I would 100% agree with that. And I would pay how much money I needed to pay to just be in that room.
Absolutely.
As fast as possible. Even if I had to borrow it all, I would be in there.
But see, that's the difference in the mindset though, Brendan, because a lot of people don't realize that. Like, they haven't found the value in making an investment and that the return on that investment is indefinite and it's only going to appreciate with time.
So that's the thing, Kiana, that I think, and I'm so happy that you said that. It's because when speaking with some people, when they think about the investment, they don't realize the finite. Mm-hmm. They don't realize that it's not finite. Like that is infinite. Like literally, like if I teach you something and you pay for it, you can duplicate that forever.
Yep.
and then you can literally use that, discover some things that I might not even know.
Exactly.
Or maybe how you do it different. And maybe you can 2x it, 3x it, 5x it, add something else, build on top of it.
Yep. It only appreciates with time. That's what an investment is. It's an investment. You're not paying. I always tell you, you're not spending, you're investing. What you spent was that bag that you bought for $3,000 that now you can't even wear that much because everybody's going to be like, oh, she always wear that same bag.
Yeah, 100%. So we're about to wrap up. A little past the hour right now. We got one last question from my Keisha. She has another question. And then I want you to let them know what you currently have going on, how they can get in contact with you, and how they can get involved in one of your programs. So my Keisha asks, how are you helping? Okay, let me see about the nurse bullying. How do you help nurses deal with the bullying in your sisterhood?
So first of all, there's no dealing with bullying. That's never okay under no circumstances. But it really is the sisterhood in the community when our members do have, like, let's say, for example, a bad day at work. Let's say they're working on the side and they have their business. They're working full time and they have their business on the side. They can come into the community and like get advice or get support or, how would you handle it? Should I take it to HR? Like whatever it is that they're challenged with or that they're thinking twice about. But the difference between doing it at the bedside is you don't have to work. And Marquisha knows what I mean. she knows what I mean when I say bedside, but the difference between doing it at the bedside and in the community is you don't have to worry about it getting back. You don't know who knows who and who's going to talk about it, and they're not affected by whatever the temperature is in your organization. So they can give you some advice that is totally objective to help you get to, whatever, deal with that bullying situation or whatever. But it really is the sisterhood. Like, we're all nurses, so we've experienced it to some degree.
Yeah.
Some more than others.
Sisterhood of Nurses. I like that.
Yeah.
That might have to be another book you drop soon.
I know, right? I said I was going to do a research project on it since I have my PhD.
Okay, so how can I get in contact with you? So we dropped in the chat at Cypreneur_nurse, so you guys could follow Dr. Kiana ASAP. But if they want to tap into your programs or maybe ask you some additional questions, how are they able to do that?
So Instagram is my primary way that people communicate with me. I suggest you text Boss Nurse, though, because I do have a text list. Boss Nurse, all one word, to 31996.
31996.
31996. And then also you can subscribe to my email list. The Nurse Boss Mob is not open right now. We are going to only launch a couple times for the year. So we're on hold until the next opening, which if you're on my list, you will get first access to it. I like to do it in cohorts because it gives me time to get a lot of feedback, see what support's needed, and then I'll do another opening. But this is like my baby. So, and I really want to make sure I'm delivering on what my intentions are for this sisterhood. So we're not open now, but if you get on the list and also on the email list, you will be the first to know.
I like it. You guys text Boss Nurse to 31996. And then if you have any other additional questions, make sure that you send a DM to Cypreneur_nurse.
Yes.
Get into this Boston.
For real. It's time, y'all.
It is time. And it's not just reserved for bedside nurses.
Oh, no, it's not. It's not. It's all nurses. I have people who are in leadership in my group. I have CNOs in my group. It's not just, and it's beautiful because they can talk to those who are still at the bedside. Like, there's an exchange. So it's really good. No, you don't have to just be at the bedside, but bedside are the most burnt out.
Got you. So, Dr. Kiana Jones, I appreciate you for spending some time with us this morning on the Imperfect Action Show, talking about taking imperfect action.
Yeah.
Talking about how you're creating such an amazing community for bedside nurses and other nurses in general, and how there's no sailing with you, but there's a sailing in the hospital.
There definitely is. And a lot of politics.
100%. So, all right, guys, we will see you tomorrow, episode 64. Dr. Kiana Jones and I are going to be doing something special in a couple of weeks. So if you're in LA, pull up. She's going to be doing another podcast. You're going to be learning a little bit more about the mess of our business because I'm going to be asking her about these numbers.
Yes.
You guys want to understand these numbers. Make sure you follow her on Instagram at Cypreneur_nurse. Make sure you text Box Nurse at 31996. And we'll see you tomorrow on episode 64. Wow. 64.
Hi, everybody.